Kim Rakes joining us on the Ignition Ministries podcast. Hi, Kim.
Hey.
What's up,
Kim?
girl?
I'm excited to be here.
Are you nervous?
Yes, I get weird when we're doing selfies. So when you're like, hey,
true.
I'm going to record it. Are you okay with that? I was like, yeah.
Sure.
Because I'm definitely excited to come and have a conversation with you all and share some things. Some
hard things.
I'm just very hard things. And just forget there's a camera there.
I know. Don't even think,
Yeah.
it's funny. As I was doing my makeup, preparing for this podcast, Harper came in the bathroom and she goes, Mommy, I'm kind of giggling right now. And I was like, why are you giggling? And she goes, because I remember when you used to do the podcast in your PJs.
Facts. Yeah.
And I can't do that anymore when I'm, when there's video. So that is a whole new element that's been a little tricky. But either way,
It's not that different for me, let's be honest.
no.
I mean, other than
Must
maybe
be
putting
nice
like
to
a
be.
presentable shirt on.
Must be nice to be a man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, listen, first, before we get into this topic of what we're going to discuss today, which, by the way, just right out of the gate, we'll go ahead and tell the folks, the listeners, as Joshua calls you.
It's literally well, now I can't say that anymore. They're not just
Viewers.
listeners. Yeah, viewers.
Viewers,
That's
yeah.
right,
Well,
Kim.
either way, however you're getting this podcast, the topic for today is specifically going to be adoption and embryonic adoption and having children in your 40s. Say what? But not even just having kids in your 40s. I think one of the topics we're going to discuss today that's going to end up being like a common thread throughout this whole podcast will be don't always feel or break the cycle of following the cultural norm.
Amen.
Right? I
Yeah.
think as we were kind of just talking through this podcast, that was kind of something that kept getting brought up. So I think that's going to be special because, as Kim mentioned, breaking the cultural norm is something that you can incorporate no matter what area of life it is.
Yeah.
Whether you're single, dating, in your past the age of 65.
Yeah.
This is going to be, I think, an episode that will speak to some folks. So
Well, I think you got to remember along those lines, everybody's walk is unique. Like we're in this thing and God calls us to different things, but every single person's walk is going to be similar in that we have one purpose to glorify God, but it looks so different. Like literally everybody's, if you have kids, your parenting testimony, the way you were brought up, you bring into that. I mean, every piece of it is so unique, and it's what makes it special. I think it's what makes us and our relationship with Christ so special because nobody else is walking the same walk that we are.
yeah, that's good. Before we also get into this, I'd like to just talk about a few things and how Kim and I, or what it looks like. It would take forever to say how we met and all those things. And some of those things are personal, that I don't want to share. So I'll just kind of share a little of how we're doing life together right now. So about a year ago, Kim and I have known each other for about 10 years. But about a year ago, the Lord brought the opportunity of prison ministry at the table. And we'd already really been doing ministry together.
Yeah.
Whether it was Warrior Women, you were a big part of the Worship Warriors, the flag team, and brought a whole new element to that was special. I'm thinking about Warrior Women 2025. That was the last one we did.
Yeah.
Well, outside of the prison, but they were all dressed in white. And you remember the banners, all the names of the Lord.
Yep.
Oh man,
good.
the
So
Lion
powerful.
and the Lamb, the King of Judah, all the names, Yahweh, and they were lining the
Civic Center.
the perimeter,
Yeah.
guarding the perimeter with their banners and all dressed in white, praising the name of the Lord. And what people may not know who attended that day, they were praying over the people and worshiping and doing so many things behind the scenes. Man, that prayer that we did before the
my
event,
gosh.
actually, do you remember that?
Yeah.
So, so Warrior Women, we'd already been kind of doing ministry, but the Lord brought prison ministry, and the first person that the Lord said, I want you to take in with you was Kim. And so I called Kim and said, Kim, girl, I need you to pray about something. Yeah, what you got? I was like, the Lord has laid you on my heart to go inside the federal penitentiary and lead worship. and potentially, lead sermons and messages and minister to these women. So I need you to pray about it. And she's like, well, I can tell you right. Kim, what did you say? I'll let you tell it.
Yeah. So my first immediate response is like, in my flesh, absolutely yes. And I said, but I have to take this to the Lord. And we hung up. And I mean, literally, as soon as we hung up, the tears came. And I said, I want to talk to my husband, and I'm going to talk to the Lord first and foremost. The tears came. Robbie walked in the room, and I was like, you will never believe. Because what you didn't know, Melissa, at the time is that for over a decade, the Lord had planted deep within my heart to go into prisons. Mm-hmm. And I felt like this journey I had been going, like door after door had been closed for this. I'm like, Lord, I mean, this is something so deep. And I kept praying into it. I kept praying into the opportunities to lead worship. I had no idea the two would be married. Right. I just knew I wanted to minister in prisons. And so when I brought it to the Lord, like almost immediately, the Lord said, this is a door that I'm opening. And yes, you walk through it. I was like, okay, Lord, because it's like, you don't want to be like, yeah, I know, like me and the Lord are good. I already know. But yeah, it was.
But you knew. I mean, knew he'd already been speaking it to you for 10 years.
Had already been speaking it to me, but it was kind of like, because so often we say, hey, this fits, but is it your timing now, Lord?
Yeah.
Is this the yes? And right now, is it the timing? And so, yeah. And then the rest from that is history. It's been an amazing supernatural ride, quite honestly.
A year of the prison ministry, which has grown within Ignition just a couple days ago, 2 days ago. Not even a full 2 days ago.
Not even full 48 hours.
We were
driving.
We were driving up 81. A new jail had called that's a little bit of a ways away and said, another regional jail, hey, can you guys come in? And so we went up there to kind of check it out. And I'm thinking about us praying in the car as a trio team, praying, Lord, is this one of the places you want us to go?
Yeah.
And it's crazy too, because, we don't have to go into specifics, but it was very different just going in there and thinking, okay, this is going to be it's a regional jail. So it's going to be the same as this other regional jail that we're already in and have been ministering to. No, completely different.
Completely.
A completely different situation.
Yeah.
Completely different souls. Mm-hmm. Completely different atmosphere. Yes. Completely different leadership.
Well, and you're different. I mean, you're dealing with, I think, different, like for us, the specific program we're in the Western Regional Jail is different than what we're going to get. We're going to get basically the whole Gen Pop at this next one. Mm-hmm. And so you're just dealing with brokenness, but different specific forms. Yeah. All the same root, which is sin, right? All the same enemy, which is Satan, but it's going to look different. And we felt that, I think, from the moment we got there. But I wanted to say something just about Kim, about your ability to worship in that setting.
I'm already feeling like I'm going to cry.
It is. And Melissa had told me this before I got to personally experience it, because you guys have been doing, ministry up in West Virginia at the federal penitentiary for a few months before I got to witness it. But like for you to know the Lord had called you to that, and then to watch you in that element, lead worship in front of men, women, whoever, in that specific setting. Like, you have a beautiful voice, but a lot of people have beautiful voices, right? Like what you're able to do and how you're able to worship, as you said the last time we spoke about it, kind of over the inmates and just kind of begin to, through the power of worship, break walls down. Like we see the Lord breaking walls down in those moments. It's special. It really is.
Yeah, like you said, we know a lot of people with beautiful voices, and those voices, at least within Ignition, would not be a good fit for what we're doing or what we've been doing in the prison and the jails. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. There's, as you said, in the words of Deborah Maynard, is it an invitation or an assignment?
That's right.
Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
Is it a invitation or an assignment with anointing?
Yeah.
And so, Kim, yes, it's been beautiful to watch you, before we give the word to the inmates, to watch Kim open up in worship and to see, literal spiritual walls come down and like prepare the atmosphere for the word, has been something, I'm telling you, it has been one of the greatest blessings of doing ministry that I've ever been a part of. So just
Wow.
know this, the
Yeah,
Lord's
amen.
using you
Yes, amen.
in that way. And so, as you can see, Kim is special to us, not just with ministry, but our families are very tight.
I'll say a disclaimer: if you hear like a thundering herd upstairs, that's just all our kids playing
It's our
together.
kids,
so
yes.
we can only promise so long before that happens.
And speaking of kids, so because we've known Kim for about 10 years, we know a lot of things we've walked through. And so what we're talking about today, Kim, is we'll start, I guess we'll go, so you have 3 children, specifically 3 boys. Pray for your girl.
Thank you.
Yes, 3 boys.
Where's my girl set?
And yeah.
They're around here, trust me.
And so your oldest is 17.
No.
18.
No. I know you don't want to let him grow up either.
What?
See, that's how much you love him. He's 19.
No.
Yes. Yes.
He has not
She's
been
like,
graduated.
I'm not even, you're like, I'm not even going to acknowledge he's past 17
That's
right now.
insanity.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Okay, so 19. How did that happen? And then I guess that makes sense, though, once I think about how old mine are. And then your middle child, for now, is 8.
Yes. Almost 9.
Almost 9.
Yeah.
And then your youngest is
Like 21 months.
21 months. And can we say how old you are?
Gosh.
All right, cut the tape.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about it today,
Yes,
Kim. We're talking about it
yes.
today.
Well, I joke because I tell people, and they're like, so how, by the way, how old are you? And I'm like, I identify as a 30-year-old. And that's really all you
acceptable.
need to know.
Right.
So let me think about it. See, when you get to a certain age, you just kind of say, I want to block that part out. At the same time, I'm embracing it. So I say that in jest. I'm 47.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, some of you might go, wait, 47 with a 21-month-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, y'all, that was not, it came out of her body.
Yeah.
Came out of her body. She birthed this baby.
Yeah.
Most people would say, shut up, tell me
Yeah.
about that. Let's talk about that right now. But we got to rewind before we
Yeah.
get there a little bit. So let's do that. Let's first discuss, you have this child, and I mean, we could be here for hours, but I want to start with your first.
Mm-hmm.
When did you decide to have another one, and kind of how did that look like? What did that look
So you
like?
mean from Pierce to Malachi? I knew right away. I mean, before Pierce even, in my mind was, because, man makes plans and the Lord establishes his steps,
Right.
and laughs at the same time probably. It was, I want to have 2 children. I told Robbie that, my husband, from the beginning, like 2 children, a boy and a girl, within 2 years of each other. So Pierce came,
Very specific plans.
Yeah.
That's the dream too. I feel like people want them close
I was just-
together.
yeah, and I'm like, party of 4. And it's just so many things make sense with that. Like the dinner table only has to be so big. So that was the original heart, was Pierce and then 1 more, and hope, Lord willing, that it be a little girl. And that was not the way things unraveled and unfolded. And it was year after year after year. And man, Robbie, bless his heart. I mean, moment after moment of me crying, going, it's not happening. Because after a couple years, that's when I was like, we're ready. And so after having years and years of it not happening, and then couple that with my husband and I went through a separation and reunited again. But during the separation, I was like, I'm definitely not having another child. Like, he's my
Right.
soulmate, my best friend. It's just going to be 1. I wanted 2. I don't even like odd numbers. Like, but this is how it's going to work. But the Lord reconciled that. And so we were back to another child, Lord. And
how old was your oldest at this point? When
So-
you were like back together from being separated?
he would have been by this point 4.
Okay.
4 years old. And it was around 6 or 7 that the Lord still, no second child. The Lord told me that he wasn't done expanding our family. and that he was going to give us another child. And so day after day, week after week, month after month, and yes, even year after year, I would keep praying into that. Lord, you told me that you weren't done expanding our family. You told me that we're going to have another, and I can't wait. And it's kind of like he gives us promises, and it's not that he forgets, but it's good. It talks about this in scripture to say out loud his promises. Lord, your word says, or Lord, you've told me. And so I would go to him and I would say, Lord, you said that you weren't done expanding our family. And Lord, I would love to have another baby in my belly, but I also knew he had called us to adoption. So it was kind of like, I'd love to be pregnant again, but if there's a little boy or little girl out there, just lead us to our child. But I would love, because it says make your request, and I would love if you would bless us with another baby in my belly.
So wait, were you trying, why couldn't you get pregnant? Did you know why? Was it just...
So I have endometriosis, and then I also have cysts.
Okay.
So the fact that
and you were in your 20s at this point?
No.
Late 20s, early 30s?
I was already into my 30s. So we had Pierce when we were 28, 29.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I knew with Pierce it was a miracle. We didn't have to use fertility treatments. It was a miracle. And so
for you to even get pregnant.
To get pregnant.
Because you had cysts, because you have endometriosis.
Yeah.
So even him was a miracle. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And so we knew that there were challenges, but also my thing is like, there's no challenge too big for the Lord. And so with Malachi, I would tell people, I would bring it to the Lord, and I'd also tell people like, he's not done expanding our family. And I cannot tell you the amount of people, some people would be like, oh, that's so sweet. That's sweet. Then there were other people that they would be like, oh, and you could tell they felt so sorry for you. But it's like, it's not about just what I want and my hopes and my dreams. Like he's told me, like I know what he's told me, and I'm going to grab hold of that, and I'm not going to let go of it.
And this is before you had your second.
Yeah.
You're telling people that.
And I think back to when we were talking to Kayla, she said almost the exact same thing. You remember that? When she was like, listen, if there's a lady or someone listening to this, woman listening to this, and God has told you you're going to be a mother, be confident in that.
Yes,
He will come through.
That's so good.
And you're saying the same thing here, where it's like people are looking at you like you're a little cuckoo, all right, and feeling sorry for you. Yeah, giving you that, man, it's not going to happen for her, but look at her, she's still hoping. And you are just walking in confidence because you know what the Lord has said. Like there's something so powerful about that, about the faith in that, and believing with faith. Like not just, I think so often we pray prayers like, well, God, I trust you, and I pray for this, but even if you don't, and that's a great prayer to pray sometimes, but sometimes we need to pray.
I pray that all the time.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there are times, I think, when you need to say, Lord, I know you've said this to me, and so I'm praying for this, and leave out the disclaimer.
Yes.
Like pray
No plan
with true
B.
faith.
Okay, so I'm going to
That's
ask a hard question then, and just be brutally honest. Have you ever heard, I don't know where I heard it, but I felt like it might have been a sermon, I can't remember. It could have been something on Instagram, a little Christian influencer, I don't know, that was talking about, you hear people say, the Lord said. The Lord said. I think I even heard someone's testimony. Again, I can't remember where, but they were like, I grew up in a church where it was always the Lord said. And so because I wasn't getting that, I was like,
he ain't talking to me.
What's wrong with me? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not hearing from the Lord like that. And then, so I've heard in the past that, like, can you confidently say that it was from the Lord? Like, because isn't that prideful to say, well, maybe you got it wrong. Maybe I didn't hear from the Lord. Maybe it was my own wants and desires. Like, because I know there's people listening right now who are thinking like, but isn't it cocky or prideful to think that you know that you know that you know? But I hear Kim, I hear you say that all the time. I know that I know that I know.
Yes.
Like, I don't think Kim has a problem with confidence.
In the Lord.
In the Lord,
That's what I mean.
Yes.
In the Lord. Like
Yes.
when and I only know this because I do ministry with her. When she knows it was from the Lord, when you know it's from the Lord, Kim, there is no convincing you. But I'm just speaking, I'm trying to get you guys in the mindset of other people who could potentially be listening.
And I think that's the key. So I think it's wise that you brought that up, because I think that is a phrase that does get thrown around too loosely. Well, I heard from the Lord, or
So
God
good.
said. However, it takes great discernment And I think it takes a close relationship to know the difference. Like it takes time to know that. And there are times when I will hear that still small voice and I don't act on it as quickly because you're not sure and you have to pray through that.
Is
Like,
this you, Lord?
was that me? Was that or was that the enemy? Like, 'cause we've talked about this. There's really three voices. There's your own, there's the voice of the enemy, and the voice of the Lord.
That's good.
And you have to learn to discern the three. But then once you get to a point, and I think this just takes prayer. Sometimes
There's also the voice of others.
prayer and fasting. Yeah, that's good. But I think once you get to the point where you I think the Lord gives you a assurance when you know that it was Him, and when you know because it wasn't you, because you don't say things like this. And obviously, this would be for like given Kim's example, this would be for your benefit, for His glory. Be fruitful and multiply. Why wouldn't the Lord want that?
Yeah.
And so, I think at that point you can stand on it because that's what we see in this. I mean, we see people standing on the Word. We see people. I mean, Jesus praising them for their unwavering faith, and so. I don't want people to be afraid to do that, but I think it does take some prayer, fasting, closeness, nearness to the Lord to do that.
You have thoughts on that, Kim?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think about even specifically the one example of knowing that the promise of Malachi, my second before he came, was there. Don't get me wrong. There were times where I would be on my hands and knees, bawling my eyes out, going, God, I know what you said. When is it going to happen? And so in our humanism and in our human experience, we will have those moments of like, I know he said it, but why does it not feel like this? Why does it not look like this? But I do think that it is like you learn to recognize his voice. How do people that know what counterfeit money looks like? They don't study counterfeit; they study the real thing.
Right.
You learn what his voice sounds like, and yes, there's times when I hear from him, and just like what you were saying, Josh, where you're like, "Is this you, Lord?" Like I want to make sure it's not. Because the enemy disguises himself like the angel of light, like an angel of light. Like, I want to make sure it's not my thought. It's not the enemy trying to come in. It's you, Lord. And what I know, and this is what I see over and over with the Lord, is he's not one to play games.
Yeah.
He's not one, catch me if you can, hide and seek. You're never going to find me. What does his word say? It says, seek me and you will find me. Does that mean the first time and he's going to give you a neon sign or he's going to, send you a text message? He might. I mean, God can do it. He spoke from a donkey. Like he can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, he's capable.
But he knows what our hearts need as we're growing in our faith.
Yeah.
And he's the author and perfecter of our faith. Not Josh, not Melissa, not Kimberly. He will perfect it. And so when you're in a place to say, Lord, I want to continue to grow and hear from you more, and I want you to grow me in my faith, and I want to be able to discern your voice. He knows exactly how he knit us together in our mother's womb, what that looks like. And so there's times where I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm feeling a little bit confused. Like I thought I knew, I'm feeling a little bit confused. He brings clarity. He will, and he knows what we all need for that. And so what I would tell someone watching or listening is if you're facing those decisions or those things that you feel are from the Lord and you're struggling, you feel doubts coming in, Lord, I know you said this, but I'm really struggling. Like, bring me peace. And I always tell people, follow the peace trail. Like, do you continue to see peace after peace? Like, because people say, what if I was supposed to go left and I went right? Well, when he knows your heart's posture that you want to walk in obedience, you want to follow what he's telling you. If you go right and you should have gone left, he's not going to be like, look at Kimberly. She totally got off track. He's going to be like, no. Here, this is the way, walking it.
Well, and sometimes we need that. Like you make a decision and you follow through with it, and he's going to allow it at times because he's a good father. Just like we allow our kids to mess up sometimes. It's for their benefit to see it. And not that it was ever a mistake. It's a learning opportunity. Yeah. It's so he, like you said, he can grow us so that we can get redirected on the right path that we're supposed to be on. Yeah. But I love the second part, that verse, seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart. I think that's the idea. Is that we are like you want to? If you're listening to this or watching this, and you're thinking, "All right, well, I want to hear." Like I hear them talking, and they say they seem confident. They hear from the Lord. I want that. It takes seeking Him with all your heart, like truly devoting yourself to that. And as Kim just said, I promise you, He's a good Father who will willingly reveal Himself and reveal His plan.
Even when you're looking at people in the eye and they're looking at you like you're crazy. Oh, that's sweet, as Kim said. So, okay, let's go back to where we were. And that was, you knew that the Lord had said you were going to expand your family, but it hadn't happened yet. So let's talk about how that second one kind of happened and what that looked like.
So eventually, Robbie and I, after a lot of prayer, decided we were going to go to seek out fertility treatments. And so I went to my first appointment. Robbie wasn't able to get off work. I remember crying the whole time because it's so emotional because, like, man, I want this so bad. And this is what I believe. God can do it supernaturally, but he also works through doctors, right? And so that's kind of the crossroads we're at. Like, all right, we're going to go this route and we're going to allow the Lord and see him work through doctors. But we were also simultaneously preparing to go on our first ever mission trip to Uganda, Africa. And so I went into my first consultation. I come back and it was within that week, Robbie said, babe, I just read that there could be like direct danger to a fetus with these immunizations that we're having to take to prepare to go out of the country. And I'm like, okay, where are you going with this? And he was like, well, what I've read, if you've got to wait 6 months from your last immunization before you can even begin fertility to be safe. And I'm sitting here like, my biological clock is ticking, sir. Like 6 months is a long time. Like it's already been, by this point, it had already been 8.5, 9 years, like what, And I remember bringing it to the Lord. I knew he had called us to Africa, but I also knew the promise of another child. And I know like how is this? And I'm like, Lord, like, the desires of my heart. Like I want to walk in obedience and I'm excited about this mission trip. But like, I kept thinking we were going to just, I don't know in my mind, miss the window. Like, what's 6 more months? You've been waiting 8.5 years. Like who cares?
Yeah.
I did. Because I kind of thought that it was like, I felt like we were finally on the brink of breakthrough after all these like sleepless nights and tears and prayers and waiting. And then to be told you've got to wait at least 6 more months before you can even begin. And so the Lord told me something very specific. I know the desires of your heart and I've got them and I'm holding them. Do what I've called you to do and trust me. And so it was kind of like me having to, and I had been clinging on to it so much to say, here you go, okay. And we went to Uganda, Africa. It was the most amazing trip. Our firstborn was 9 at the time. Miracle signs and wonders as we were over there happened.
Did he go?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Pierce went. And it was,
Of course he did.
That's what
he's like
started
the greatest
his
kid
fire.
ever.
I was going to say Pierce.
Or young man. He's not a kid anymore.
Pierce is an
17,
impressive,
18, 19, who cares?
impressive young dude since the moment we met him.
Yeah.
That's where his fire for missions came.
Yeah, I
That's
believe that.
amazing.
And we went over and we were with the poorest of the poor, the sickest of the sick children. And it was,
Impacted
Robbie even, he's such like a realist. He looked at me, he was like, we just need to quit our jobs and move over here. I was like, you need to slow down. Like, I know we're supposed to do missions and minister all over the world, but like, he was like, this is life. This is what life's about. And
awesome.
so we get back and the mission trip was in June of 2016. And I knew in August, not that I was counting, but I was counting. August is when I can move forward with fertility. And I can't wait. And it was around July, the Lord said, I want you to quit your job. And he was taking me a different direction. And I'm like, what? How are we going to have money for fertility or adoption? Both take a lot of money. I was kind of just like, wait a second. Like, I'm trusting you. We went on this mission trip, which was amazing. Thank you, Lord. But now you're telling me to like we need the source of income. Like, we can't do this on Robbie's alone. I can't. Trust me. So in August of 2016, with lots of tears and even hesitation, I knew what the Lord had said. I knew the promise, but how I couldn't see how the promise was going to happen. I quit my job. And 2 months later, without fertility, we found out we were pregnant.
Wow.
October of 2016.
Without fertility.
Without fertility. Because God said, anything is possible, and I made a way. And so it was just this journey he took us on of like, will you give it to me? And I think that's what he does a lot of times is so often it's like, yeah, I trust you, Lord. Well, you're clinging awfully tight to it. Will you give it to me? Will you give it to me? And even if it doesn't, will you be okay? And even if it doesn't, the way or the when or the timing, do you trust me? And so that was
Abraham
kind of
and
like
Isaac.
It's good.
So yeah. So people look at me funny because, my second child has blonde hair and blue eyes. And I'm like, he's our African baby. And they're like, really? And I'm like, oh, but let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because the act of obedience and trusting the Lord, I don't know if Malachi would be here or in this timing or in this way had we not walked in obedience to something that seemed completely unrelated and almost inconvenient. And that sounds so negative, but almost inconvenient but I've got this thing, Lord, that you've promised. And if I do that, over here, how is this going to work out? And the Lord said, because I'm God. let me be God.
Isn't that a word?
Exceedingly
Because
and
I'm God.
abundantly. Like, you don't have to choose one or the other.
No.
He'll give you everything.
You just only have to choose him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we talk about the cultural norms too. I feel like I've even had this thought before. I think I shared it with you the other day, and you go, I never knew you were thinking that.
Yeah, you did. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was like, I've thought about having another kid, but because our youngest is 8, I'm just like, man, do I really want like
To start over.
well, yeah, and for them to be that far apart in age, and what would that look like? Like the girls won't even care about that baby because they're so.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, no, but that's what I thought, and I told Joshua this thought, and he's like, I never knew you were thinking that. But I think there is something to say, I can't be the only one, that once your children or whatever you're dealing with, get to be a certain age, no matter how old you are, you kind of look and go, do we want to have them that far apart?
Why would we start over? We've already gotten to where we can sleep through the night.
Right.
Yeah.
They can potty themselves, no more diapers. Yeah. I remember after Pierce, my doctor said that very thing. He said, if you're thinking about another, let me give you a piece of advice. So it might have been his fault. I was so impatient with the Lord after 10 years. But he said, don't wait too long.
The doctor told you that.
He told me that. And the reason he said that is because he said, he did it in some metaphoric way. It's like the sun, you can see the sun again and everything, and then you go back into the trenches. Because it's hard. I mean, it's beautiful and amazing, but it is hard.
It is hard.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, no doubt.
anyone that tells you different, like, I would like to say they're not being honest.
They're liars. Correct.
Yeah. And so, it's kind of, I mean, with our 10-year gap and then 7-year gap between our second and third, I'm having to not only start all over again, I'm having to be like, so how do I not kill this child? Because what I did for Pierce, they now said could kill them. I'm thankful Pierce survived. What do I do for, each time it's like I go find
That's funny.
mothers, and it's a lot of time much younger mothers where I'm like, hey, can you tell me like the must-haves now in 2020? Because I have children in 3 different decades, and they're like, oh, sure. And I'm
The
like,
snot sucker is a must-have. And anytime you tell a
gosh.
non-parent that, they think you're
They think
a
it's
gross
disgusting.
human being, and then you get.
But the snot sucker
Yeah.
was
Oh my gosh.
crucial
Yeah.
to life.
Yeah.
I sometimes wanted to stick it down my own throat. Not my
now
nose.
that's kinda gross.
My throat, just to get out all the phlegm. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, I shouldn't have gone there. I'm sorry. Thoughts.
graphic.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, back to the story. So we have you kind of fighting not only what doctors say, but cultural norms. You didn't care. Or did you? But you still did it. Like,
I mean, so when I found out I was pregnant with Malachi, I mean, people say crazy things. I mean, there would be people, was this on purpose? I mean, people would ask me that.
I'm not shocked.
Like,
we've talked about what people say.
Strangers and people that know me, it didn't really matter. And I'm like,
I think we need to have an episode on slow to speak.
oh my gosh.
Hey, legit, I have had somebody in a line at the grocery store come up to me with both of my children standing there and ask me if Charlie's adopted
It's crazy.
Yeah.
in front of her
It's people
because
just don't
she
care.
has blonde hair and
Yeah.
blue eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if she is and I didn't tell her yet?
Yeah.
I mean, what in the world? But that's
It's crazy.
welcome
I know.
to planet Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, going along with that, and I didn't personalize it because the Lord has like grounded me so much in like the journey he has us on.
Yeah.
But so many people, oh my gosh, better you than me. Better you than me. I would never. No, I'm ready for grandchildren. Like you're crazy. And sometimes I would just smile. But then there would be times where I'd be like very honest and say, this wasn't my plan.
Yeah.
This is his plan, and I'm walking in his plan. And I think that's so often and you talk about cultural norms, like it's not just what the culture thinks, it's what people think people are going to think and what their idea of what their life is supposed to look like. And honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, what is God's plan for our life? Because if we're anything, like, why would you be anything outside of that? And you'll get looks and you'll get comments, but
I think that's an underlying element. Like what your plan and what you think your life should look like. I think that's why we see the birth rate like down, because a lot of people in their 20s and 30s see kids as an inconvenience. Like there are a lot of people out there who think, well, this doesn't really align with what trajectory I see myself on, and so they're not even having kids anymore. Or to your point, they have one or something, and now it's like, but I want to be retired by 55, and so I have to make sure. And so there's just this. Again, it's all about how I see my life going and what I want for my 50s and when I want to retire and do this. And it's like, but what about what God has called you to?
I think there is some selfishness there for sure, but I also think it's to do with cultural norms. We were talking about this before we even hit record on this podcast. Yeah. There are a lot of younger people who say finding a good girlfriend or boyfriend's really difficult.
Yeah.
And which is crazy because in the midst of so much communication and social and people being accessible like never before, it's harder.
People are more isolated and lonelier now than they've ever been.
No doubt.
Yeah. And so you've got, in my experience with people in their 20s, it's, I'm never going to find.
And you're like, you're a baby.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, man, you're not even 30 yet. But it's like, man, if I don't have that, and again, I think it has to do with the cultural pressures too.
Yeah.
And we talked about, that it'll play a part no matter what. When the Lord tells you something, stand on that confidence.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old you are, or because at this point, you're 38 and you had Malachi, your second, 38 years old. I think
I was already advanced maternal age then. I was like,
which is crazy. 38 doesn't
something
seem
different. They changed it now.
Did
since
they?
my third, they changed it advanced maternal age. That's supposed to sound so palatable. But you know what it was when I was, and I know listeners are like, they're probably saying it out loud right now. Geriatric pregnancy.
At 38?
I'm like, I'm going to throat chop you.
At 38?
Yes,
That
anything over 35.
Okay, I'll give them credit. Sometimes change is good.
You're laughing.
The change is much better than geriatric
Oh my
pregnancy.
gosh.
That's crazy.
That will
30
give
and
somebody
And you get
a
that in your
complex.
chart, but now they're like, since you are advanced, I had a consultation when we were going through our third, and they kept saying advanced. I'm like, I get what you're saying. You don't even need to say, it just takes too much time. Like advanced maternal, right? I know my age, I know the situation, and because you are, literally this doctor within like 3 or 4 sentences had said it like 20 times, and advanced maternal age, and you were advanced maternal age, and you were advanced, and I'm like, let me guess, hold on. I even interrupted, and I was like, advanced maternal age. I got it.
What happened to inclusivity, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. You're 38. You've got now your second child. Most would think you'd be done.
Right. And I would have thought that because 2 and through, it just took a lot longer.
2 and through. Never
Yeah.
heard that. I've
Well,
heard
I
1 and
just-
done. 2 and through. What's 3? 3 and let it be.
3, and maybe we're free, no more.
Oh, that's a good one.
We don't know.
But I will say, I do not think, and I'm no doctor, shocker, I know. I don't think 38 is that old to have a child.
No,
I mean,
I
we
agree.
had children, I was 34 and 36. Joshua was much younger, but it's fine.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, when you have them that late, see, and here I am going with, here I am.
Don't adopt it. Yeah.
I'm not even going to do that. When you have them in your late 30s,
Advanced maternal age.
it was nice having you to be a little bit younger.
Yeah, and I didn't feel young at the time, especially when I look back at pictures of me after Harper was
He
born.
could pick up my geriatric slack.
like-
you know what I'm saying?
I look like
See, we're in trouble. Me and Robbie are 4 months apart.
We're in
so
trouble.
we're right there
Oh,
together.
yeah. See?
The Lord gives you what you need,
Yes.
regardless of your geriatric ages.
Yeah, thank you, honey.
Advanced
So sweet.
maternal age,
Yes,
please,
advanced
Josh.
maternal age. So most would think, okay, 2 and through, as you said. Had God spoken to you yet about a third?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Before
No.
Oh,
no.
after Malachi.
Because, yes, and I know this, Malachi was about 4 months old. I had just finished nursing him.
Oh, my word.
And I was sitting there and he was sleeping and I was in his nursery and I'm praying over him. And I'm like, thank you, Lord, so much. And I heard the Lord say, I'm not done expanding your family. And I was like, oh, because really, I'm really funny about odd numbers. But, I was just like, oh, okay, there's going to be another one. And I even felt him say more than one. And I'm sitting there like almost at this like kind of like, is that really the Lord? Because I know it's not me. I mean, so it's either the enemy trying to really mess with me. But I felt in my heart, like I knew it was the Lord. And so I lay Malachi down and I walk out into the kitchen and I put my hand on Robbie and I'm like, babe, I'm getting ready to tell you something. Please don't freak out. And he was like, okay. I said, don't freak out. He's like, babe, I said, please don't freak out. He's like, what is it? And I was like, the Lord just told me he wasn't done expanding our family. Don't freak out. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, why are you not freaking out? And he's like, because he'll provide. I said, but I think it's going to be more than one more. And he was like, and then at the time we're living in a house that we're already,
tribe.
yeah, we're going to get a whole team together. Okay. We're needing a bus. But we were already outgrowing our home at the time and tight on finances, like a lot of families.
You quit your job too. Yeah.
And so he was like, I trust the Lord and he'll provide. And I'm like, okay. And I don't know, there probably was a part of Rob that's like, maybe it's just a little crazy Kim moment, maybe. But it never lifted. It never lifted. And so from Malachi to my third, this 7-year time, I knew that God had called us to another child. I knew.
7 years later.
Yeah. 7 years later.
As you said, 3 children.
3 different decades.
3 different decades.
Because I like to be
what
wild.
A story!
Oh my gosh.
That's honestly,
Yeah.
I've never thought about that, Kim.
Yeah.
That's
And how much the
something.
world has changed. You're right. I was thinking about that when you said it. Like how much the world has changed when you were taking
Yes.
Pierce through those
my
early
gosh.
years versus now with Rome. That's just crazy.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Breast pumps have been advanced.
Gosh, for those who have had maternal age people. Even.
So, how did 7 years go by?
I mean, you're just the first couple of years of a new child. You're just trying to like
Survive.
Yes.
Like if you get a shower, you're like, I have one today. I've showered.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've combed my hair. We knew that it was going to happen. But we also knew, we didn't have any more space really where we were at. I mean, we were in a tiny little house, but you can make it work. I think about my daddy. He had 11 siblings and they had a 2-bedroom home that was like, like the size of this room.
Yeah.
Like 4 to a bed. So like, shut your face.
Yeah.
Like you can make it work.
Yeah.
But so we knew, I think that the struggle was this. I knew that he wasn't done expanding. He had said that clearly. I knew that we were called to adoption. I knew that from before when I was a little girl, from the very beginning, I knew that I was supposed to adopt before I knew and met my husband. But I also had this deep desire to carry another child. And I'm like, something's wrong with me. Like, why am I? And I would talk to Robbie. I'm like, I don't know why I still want to carry another baby, but I know he's called us to adoption. And so then it's like, well, maybe we need to do baby first because I'm continuing. My biological clock never stopped ticking. It kept ticking. So it was kind of this dance between, do we try to go to do fertility treatments? Because like this, I can adopt at 50. That doesn't really matter. But like having another baby. And so we that's really over the next several years, that's kind of like what we kind of went back and forth through is like, do we do fertility to have, because I know, and Robbie's whole thing is like, we got 2 babies. Like, if we're supposed to adopt, why don't we just, I'm like, I just can't. And if you're not a woman, it's hard to understand when you have this desire to have a child, like it's hard to explain to a man, like I knew that I was supposed to have another child and I didn't understand why. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. And I would pray over and over and over, God, take this from me. Take this from me. Like, we're going to do the adoption. We're going to walk through this, which is going to be a whole, we had no idea what we were going to go through.
Right.
But
birthing another child's a whole different
why are you
ballgame.
putting 2 on me? I feel like there's 2. Can you take this off of me? Because, I didn't feel at the time, honestly, it's not like God said, I'm going to expand your family. It's going to be more than 1. You'll have a child and you'll adopt. I didn't know that from the Lord. He doesn't give me all the details because I would mess it up.
I was going to say that's by design for him. If he gave us all the details, we'd take stuff into our own hands and try to
do some
map it out.
shortcuts.
And plan it the way we think it should go. And he's just saying he'll give us the end.
Yeah.
And he's not going to tell us how we're going to get there. It's going to take faith without sight. So
That's good.
So you enter into adoption.
So we enter into adoption because I actually had went to Robbie and asked, it was kind of this crossroads. I was like, I can't kick the desire to carry another child, but I know we're supposed to adopt. And I asked Robbie, would you be willing, like it's now or never, to do fertility? And he said, he didn't feel comfortable with us doing fertility. And so I kind of mourned that, but I also knew that the Lord would heal that area and let's move forward with adoption. Because I knew that there was another child, at least one, and I knew that we were called to adoption. And I knew that, sometimes I think that people get stuck because they're like, there's still so much pain here. How can I move forward? But what I've learned is you move forward even in your pain, trusting the Lord with it, right? That He will, moment by moment, step by step, and even in time, heal those areas as you continue to walk in obedience. And
That's
so,
another common thread. I don't mean to interrupt you, Kim,
No.
but that idea of obedience while you wait on the Lord is so key. Like that's a second common thread, I think, between our story today and what we had with Kayla, is that, we're called to wait on the Lord, but that doesn't mean that we just sit back. Like there is, like you said, we're pushing forward, allowing God to heal and work in the midst of what He's calling you to at that present moment.
Exactly. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think about the wilderness moments. We talked about this too before with Moses and Aaron. You'd brought up some scripture there about how important the obedience is during this kind of wilderness time, waiting time. Like your actions and response to the Lord matter in the outcome.
Yeah.
And how you go about doing it.
Yeah.
And for you, I think, I don't know if respecting what your husband said about, hey, I don't feel comfortable doing fertility right now, and moving forward with adoption, I think was even a step for you because, again, I'm sure you're thinking, but I'm getting older. Like if we're going to do it, I need to do it. But neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well,
So adoption, here you come.
Adoption, here I come. And honestly, I had to, even though the desire to carry another child had not left me, but coming under submission to my husband and in unity with him and trusting the Lord that either I was going to have another child or the Lord was going to heal me from that, remove that. I mean, I knew there was something would happen at some point. So we moved forward with adoption, and that was just very eye-opening. You have to go through all the paperwork and the home study process. I mean, I'm sitting there filling out paperwork in tears, looking at my husband going, do we qualify to be parents? I mean, we already had 2 kids, but you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know.
But a third is different.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
are they going to think we're good enough? Are we going to get approved? I mean, you sit there and.
So how old was your second at this point when you're filling out the process, doing all that?
He would have been 4.
Okay.
So now I can remember these days. I remember you guys walking through that and that
yes.
process. And
We're going to dig through some hard stuff here.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
We went through all the paperwork. You have to do a lot of training. Even down to if you bring a child in from a different ethnicity, and people that whether they've adopted or whether they have interracial relationships where they have, children, you don't realize like what you said at the grocery store where someone's like, is she adopted? And
right.
She's your, but like going through that, like wrecked Robbie and I remember us going through it together and just bawling our eyes out because we're thinking, how cold are people?
Yeah.
Like where they would come and say, well, where's their parents at? Or are you their babysitter? Or are you, people might be like, are you their grandmother? No, I'm not. Sorry, I didn't have a reaction.
I didn't even think about that one. I will say though, Kim, you don't look like a grandma.
You're so sweet.
I'm serious.
You're pretty immature.
That would be a crazy question to ask. But.
Well, I've seen some really beautiful grandmamas.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
You're like, oh my gosh, y'all aren't sister. That's not your child, and I'm like, so that was emotional. That was a journey just in the adoption journey. And then, trying to decide traditional adoption, foster to adopt, our hearts were really turned and like there with like foster care, which is not about adopting. It's about reunification with parents. Mm-hmm. And so, it was, and when you talk about hearing from the Lord, I mean, this was super hard because it's like, do we go this way? Traditional adoption agency. Do we go this way? Foster to adopt. If, parental rights eventually get terminated, right. I get attached to a butterfly. Like, how can I bring a child in and love them and then be like, here you go, mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of prayer in that, and the Lord led us to traditional adoption. We got home study approved. They were like, think you can do it again. And then we signed on with an agency. But then it was probably, I guess, 6 months after we signed on with an agency, I don't know how far you want me to go into that, but we were connected with a mother outside of an agency supernaturally who was carrying a little boy due in June of 2022. I'll let you.
Well, so was the situation promising? Like, did you feel certain that you were going
This was
to? Yes.
So I had no expectations, quite honestly.
Okay.
I had two different women reach out to me one person reached out to me, two different women that had given my name to a mother who was in a drug rehab facility in Roanoke.
Mm-hmm.
And neither woman knew each other. They weren't in the same circle, but both of them were given like this name back to this mother.
Okay.
Like, you need to talk to Kimberly Rakes. And so I met her on Mother's Day.
Wow.
Which I'm like, Lord, what do I go and say to this mother that I might be potentially adopting her baby? Like, where do I begin? And all he said is, I just want you to make sure she knows how much I love her. Like, it was all about like connecting with her for the love of the Father. And so that's how our relationship began and continued to grow. Is I didn't know if we were going to be the parents to her son. I had no idea what that was going to look like. I just knew that I was in God's will. This is where he had called me, and I was to connect with her and help connect her to the Lord. And that's what started unfolding. I was able to pray with her multiple times. There was parts of her process, 12-step process she was in for rehab, that she was like, these are taking me through some of my steps.
Wow.
And I connected with her in love and her little boy, but not with, let me connect with you so I can hopefully get this baby. Like, I didn't ask for this. It was one of those doors that were open.
Yeah.
But as time went on, all these things continued to line up where she was like, and she met Robbie. We had multiple times, the three of us together, because we were able to check her out and spend time with her, like out of the facility. And it came down to her saying, I know that I want y'all to adopt my little boy. And as we were preparing, because it was kind of like, okay, this is happening. That's when we're like, this is happening. But you still had that feeling of anything can happen.
Sure, because you're kind of told that, I think, going in.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, they call it, which is such an understatement. They call it disruptions.
Yeah.
If a mother changes her mind, that's a disruption, and it's so much more than that. Or failed adoption, like, hey, we failed, let's try again. It's so much more than that. But yeah, we knew that could happen. We knew. She had 3 other children that she didn't have custody of due to her addiction. So we didn't know what it looked like, and so I didn't look at her. I wasn't confident in her at all.
Right.
Sure.
I knew the majority of the time in our journey with her, she was very manipulative by nature. And I was okay with that because, Robbie would be like, she's taking it. And I'm like, I don't care because I'm trusting him. And what I knew is it wasn't, I'm trusting him because he's going to give me this. I'm trusting him because he's led me here and I don't know what this looks like. And as the journey continued, the Lord very clearly told me, this is your son. You were to call him Ezra. And so by that point, I'm thinking, it's happening. Like, that's when I knew this is it.
Yeah.
This is happening because God has
You heard it from him, yeah.
Like, this is your son. Go to war, because we were facing so much spiritual warfare in this journey. And then even down to naming him Ezra. And so I'm like, okay, like, he has spoken. This is going to happen no matter what it looks like, no matter the fears, no matter like this, the highs and the lows of this, the roller coaster ride. It's happening because God, he didn't say it was happening, but he told me he's our son and his name is Ezra.
Name him Ezra, yeah.
So it was a done deal in my heart.
And I remember being at the baby shower for Ezra. I remember you going through breastfeeding things.
Yeah,
and
to induce lactation.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was preparation. So let's fast forward to why it didn't happen.
Yeah. Whew. Okay. So a couple weeks before she was going to be induced, she had actually sent me an email saying that she was having second thoughts. And I was actually at Malachi's, I think it was his 5th birthday party, when I got the email. Dumb me. I should have not looked at it. But, you've got your phone and you're like, oh, there's an email. Let me see what she said, what Birth Mama said. And that's when she said, I'm having second thoughts. And I'm sitting at Malachi's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. Y'all were there. And it was like, I mean, I literally just was trying to like focus on my breathing and like I looked at, I think I looked at Robbie and I was like, she's changing her mind. And I was like, I've got to, and so I just reshifted. And then I prepared for that because I'm like, I don't understand this, Lord, like how she, but it happens. It's more common than they talk about. And then less than a week. So then we had, I think it was like days later, we had the baby shower. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do I go and celebrate and tell like all these amazing people, like,
when you don't
thank
even
you,
know.
but I don't know if he's even coming home. That was hard. And I remember all y'all praying over me. Mm-hmm. And I remember you even specifically, I mean, you were praying the fire of God over me. And it was just this moment of like, and it says in scripture, you rejoice with others when they rejoice and you mourn when they mourn. Mm-hmm. And that was that moment of like, y'all came to rejoice with me, but y'all are also, I've been so blessed surrounding me and in that place of where I'm just waiting to grieve, knowing that it very well could happen. Mm-hmm. About 4 days before that she was going to be induced with Ezra, I get a phone call. And I remember getting that phone call from her. And she said, Kimberly, I'm so sorry I've put you through this, but I definitely know without a doubt I want you and Robbie to be Ezra's parents. And I remember I was sitting there because Robbie was beside me, and I remember I fell to my knees. And I was like, I couldn't cool cry. I couldn't mute it cry. I mean, it was like, I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I won't say her name, but I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I'm just so happy. Like, it was just this moment of like, wow, because what I had asked the Lord is, Lord, I know that you said he's our son, and I know that you said to call him Ezra, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen now. And I'd have people tell me, I feel as though I was praying, the Lord said it would be years from now, but he's going to come home. And my prayer to the Lord is like, Lord, I want to be there when he takes his first breath. Mm-hmm. I want to hear Ezra cry for the first time. I want to have his first moments with him, if it be your will, Lord. And so when this call came in 4 days before, look what God has done.
Yeah.
Like, he heard my prayers. Look what he has done. And so we went in on the 24th of June. I was in the delivery room.
2022.
Mm-hmm. On the wee hours of the 25th, Ezra was born. I cut the umbilical cord. Took him back to our room, and for the next 14 hours, which it looked different than Pierce and Malachi, because we do skin to skin, and you do the the nursing and all of that, but then there's a moment you kind of put the baby, but for 14 hours straight, I kid you not, Ezra was either on my chest or on Robbie's.
Wow.
He never was not against her, and we had no clue. Mm-hmm. Like, she had the baby, she's already, like, he's with us. We prayed over him, we sang over him, and Pierce wanted to come. He would have been 15 at the time.
Your oldest. Mm-hmm.
I think 15 at the time. He wasn't able to drive. He had wanted to come to the hospital, and I was like, no, you can't come. This is completely different. Well, after the baby was born, he was checking his phone all through the night, and he was like, can I please, like, can Dad come get me? Can I please come? And I was like, okay, well, she hasn't held him yet, and she's going to want some time with him before before we part ways. Because, we had the nursery ready, we had all the stuff ready, but she wanted time with him, which is not uncommon.
Sure.
And so I was like, so you might be waiting around. He's like, I don't care. I just want to be there. He just was so excited. And so Robbie was on his way to get him when I got the message that social services was going to be coming in and taking him. And I remember calling Robbie.
From you?
Yeah. And I remember calling Robbie, and I said, get back now. They're taking him. They're going to take him. And so they rushed back to the hospital, or he rushed back, and he had Pierce. He was already on the way back. He had gotten flowers for me, him and Pierce had. And they come in, and I say it was one of the hardest moments as a parent for many reasons. One is that my firstborn met his brother and said goodbye to him all at the same time. And so, yeah, it was a nightmare had unfolded in that moment and in that room. And everything that I thought is real, is what was supposed to happen, is what God had spoken, seemed to, like, just be crumbling. Like, how could this be? I started thinking about, well, other people said it would be years from now, but, like, he's our baby, like, he's ours, God. And how could this happen? And social services came in and took our child. And I remember Robbie and I on our hands and knees, bawling and crying and praying. And I remember looking back at Pierce, and he was one, he always like held it together. And I remember seeing him just bawling. And I kept looking at him and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Pierce. Because I didn't want him to go through that pain.
Yeah.
But I had someone years later when I was sharing this specific scene with them, moment with them, saying, you'll never know, as much as it caused Pierce so much pain to be in it, the Lord, I know, has used that to grow him in such a depth and compassion that he never would have had. And so we left the hospital that day. And I remember going home with all the baby stuff without our son. And it was very, very confusing. And I know that there are people that are watching and listening that say, yeah, me too. You know, like, how could I get to this point and my child didn't make it? You know, where people have stillborns or have miscarriages. I mean, man, you know, it's like you've got the promise, but then you feel like the promise has been taken from you. How do you reconcile, you know, like how that happened? And with me, it's like, God told me that he was our son and that to call him Ezra. How are we here now? You know, and I remember sitting at my kitchen table. It was me, Robbie, and Pierce. And I was like in just utter shock. And I was like, it's not right. This is not supposed to happen. This wasn't supposed to happen this way. How did we get here? You know, and I remember I had a vision, like as I was sitting there and I saw this explosion. And what I could think that it was is the Lord showing me, you know, you've been on this journey of faith. You've seen miracle signs and wonders. Buckle up. Like, that's what it felt like, is another one's getting ready to come. Like not another child, but like the ride is still continuing, kind of. And I'm like, and I even told Robbie and Pierce, I'm like, I don't know what this is. And I was like, I'm like, I can't even think of, like, I couldn't even think of how to like inhale and exhale in that moment. I was in such pain, yet he's showing me there's something else. And it was a couple years later, the Lord revealed what that was. And what that was is he was showing me, and and this is another thing, the Lord will speak to you, and sometimes he'll speak or show you something and then not complete it or give you like meaning to it, of understanding, until a time later. And for me, it was a couple years. And the Lord brought me back to that moment at the kitchen table, the vision that I saw. And he said, in that moment, the explosion was me seeing that your heart had been exploded into 1,000,000 pieces. And he said, I saw how much your heart broke, and I was there catching every piece as it fell. And so for me, I'm thinking, oh, the Lord's getting ready to call me to something else, and I need to buckle up. And really, he's saying, man, I see that you're in 1,000 pieces, your heart. And I'm right here, and I'm grieving with you, and I'm crying with you, and I'm mourning with you, because he feels our pain, you know? And so, yeah, that was.
So did you hear from the mom after social service came, took Ezra? Like, was there any more communication? Or
a year later?
Okay.
A year later, she called me out of the blue and asked me to come. And she had relapsed. I knew she had relapsed because the Lord had told me months before that. I knew exactly when she relapsed. So when she told me when she relapsed, I'm like, it was much sooner. But she had called us, and it was wild, but that's another whole story. But she had out of the blue reached out, because she lives hours away, and said, I had relapsed and I'm getting ready to go into rehab, and I want to know if you and Robbie for the next 90 days or so will take, which she renamed Ezra, but we'll take him and my other 3 children and take temporary custody of them while I do rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I remember, like, it was one of those, like, I want my son, like, because what I know is I heard, and I want to speak to this because I know some people listening are like, well, she obviously heard him wrong. Mm. Like, that was not what God said. God did tell us to call him Ezra. And you can look up, there's deep meaning to the name Ezra. And even in the book of Ezra, a lot of significance. But, and he did say he was our son. I'm the one, and Robbie's the one that filled in the blanks. Call him Ezra. He's our son. That means he's coming home. God never told me he was coming home. I just assumed he was coming home because that makes sense. And how often do we do that in our walks where we say, he showed me this, which means this is how it's going to unfold, because clearly nothing else would make sense and other things would be just horrible.
That's powerful. Yeah.
But that's not, God never said, call him Ezra, he is your son, and you will be raising him. He never gave me that. He may have told other people, or other people may have thought that that's what they heard from him. What he said is, you call him Ezra, you go to war for him as your son. And I will tell you, even though I say I have 3, I technically have 4. He's my spiritual son. I know the 14 hours that Robbie and I had with him, it was instrumental. God gave me what I prayed for. I begged him, let me hear his first cry and see as he takes his first breath. And I got that. We had his first moments where we nonstop had him against our skin every single moment, either mine or Robbie's. We sang over him. We prayed over him. And I know there's fruit there. And anytime the Lord, I mean, there's been a long grieving process, but anytime the Lord brings Ezra to my heart or Robbie's heart, we pray for him. Wherever he is, I know he's not with his mama right now, but wherever he is, that he is protected, that he knows the Lord, that he is loved. And I mean, let's be completely transparent. I'd still, if ever that door was opened, he would always have a place in our home. Wow. Even if it's 10 years from now, like he would always have a place in our home. And so I had to reconcile that with the Lord. How could you tell me this and it not be, and him not come home? I don't understand. I did everything you told me to do, Lord. And I didn't come into this with expectations going, what can I get? What can I get? I came into it saying, how can I honor you, Lord? What are you wanting? And I went on this journey, not getting ahead of him. However, when he didn't come home, that's when I looked to the Lord to say, how could you let this happen? And it was never God's plan in that moment for him to come home.
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember going and getting, I don't know it because I've never experienced it, but I remember being able to sense the brokenness. It was like a death. It was like a death in the family had happened and it was your baby. It was almost as if there was a death.
Yeah.
And it was like, what do I say?
Yeah, I remember.
What do I pray? I didn't know. And so I had just texted you, there's something outside, open your front door. Because I wasn't going to knock on the door. I wasn't going to ask you to face me. We just went and got a meal and a big basket of things. All sorts of, it was a bunch of random stuff too. I apologize about that.
No, it was beautiful.
Magazines. Yeah. It was just whatever the Lord led, and dropped it off. But I do remember feeling like, man, I want to help, like a friend, you want to say something that's going to do it for her. And it was like, I had nothing. Yeah. Just to serve, whatever you need, I'm here. Mourn,
Yeah.
But let's fast forward and not to rush the story, but somehow you made it. I wouldn't say out of it, but we move forward and life keeps going. And so does our biological clock. Because a few years later, you would be pregnant again.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is embryonic adoption?
Whew, gosh.
In a quick summary, Kim, what is embryonic adoption?
You're telling me and to be quick. Okay, let's see.
I know,
that
right?
will be a miracle of the Lord. So embryonic adoption, basically because infertility continues to climb more and more and more, and fertility treatments continue to advance, what happens is families go, when they're struggling with infertility, they go get fertility treatments done. They create viable embryos. So they may have 5 viable embryos. They may only use 2 of them. And then they say, we feel good. We're done completing our family. Well, then you have leftover embryos. And at that point, people have to decide what to do with those embryos. And they can destroy them. They can donate them to science, which inevitably will destroy them. Or they can walk away from them, basically say, we're signing the rights over. We're not going to destroy them. We don't want to donate them to science. Here they are. Some refer to that as abandoned embryos. And basically right now in our country, we have tens of thousands of abandoned embryos.
Wow.
Literally. And, as Christians, we believe, and I believe, life starts at conception. So there's all these frozen babies waiting. frozen in time, that all they need, I say all they need, it's a huge process, but all they need is a place to be placed in a uterus to grow. And so there's options out there, and a lot of people are unaware of it because they know about donor eggs or donor sperm, but there's actual embryos that all they need is a host to transfer the embryo in to potentially grow and have life, a chance at life.
What year or how old were you when you decided, you and your husband Robbie decided that embryonic adoption was going to be your next route?
45.
You were 45 years old.
Because why not? Why not? You know, I had to sit there and keep telling myself, you know, I mean, people in Hollywood do this all the time. Like, but of course, people in Hollywood have like nannies, you know, that live with them.
Right.
That can be like, it's the middle of the night, I'm not
They
getting
have
up,
chefs.
change my baby. Yeah, they have all the things.
Yeah.
Like, but I was just like, people do it all the time in Hollywood, so it's fine.
So you go through the embryonic adoption process. By the way, is that costly?
It can be. There are people who have insurance that covers it.
Oh,
because they consider it fertility.
Yeah.
I see.
So, but it's a lot less expensive than traditional adoption because
Got it.
traditional adoption averages $40,000 to $60,000. It's absolutely insane. And
You would think it would be free.
you would think it would be free, but no, and that's
It's crazy. I know.
it's
a
absolutely
broken system.
insane.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be mothers that come into adoption agencies pregnant, due in 2 weeks. Then they will present to these waiting families that all they want is to expand their family. They're opening their hearts to adoption. And then they'll say 50,000. And then the mother can change her mind. That disrupted adoption, she can change her mind. And you do lose some money from that. You don't get back because there's a certain percentage, like, you know, it might be 10,000 goes to the mother for this and, you know, for her phone and her living and her clothes and her this and her that. And so, I mean, I've heard and seen families.
Where does the other 40,000 go though?
Agency.
Wow.
I'm telling you, it is absolutely insane. I was like, when I'm done with all, like, whatever this journey looks like, I want to make an awareness on the brokenness. I mean, we have a brokenness in our foster care system.
Yeah.
We have a brokenness in traditional adoption. It is not pretty, and
Well,
it is hard.
I mean, because you hear stories on the news all the time that, like, in the county we live in specifically, you hear there's this many children. Like, y'all need to get up and do something about it. Like, we need more adoptions. And it's like, well, you'd
stop
get
making it
them
so
if
hard.
it were. But yeah, I mean, I understand too that there are some people out there are bad people
Yeah, there's
that
two
adopt
sides of that
children and
coin.
foster children for horrible reasons.
But money shouldn't, in my, you know, and I don't have all the answers, but money shouldn't be the determining factor. You can go through the process. I do, the paperwork's one thing, and making sure you're a fit.
Background checks.
Yeah,
and,
all that is makes sense. But yeah, the money piece is what it's hard to reconcile.
So you're 45 and embryonic adoption, you go through that process. Was it a one and done kind of situation?
For me, it was.
Okay.
And it is, I know I want to be respectful, Tom, but I want to back up because
Please.
even how, like, when we were going through traditional adoption, one of the agencies we did our home study through, I remember seeing, you know, embryonic, like I saw this, it was a tab. And I remember seeing that, like, oh, people can, you know, adopt embryos and carry babies. But at that moment, I'm like, but we're doing, you know, we're not doing fertility and we're not doing that. We're doing traditional adoption. And so I'd kind of seen it, but never looked into it. And it was, I guess it was I don't know how long it was after we had lost Ezra. It might have been within the first year or so. I walked in. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I walked into our bedroom. As soon as I walked in, Robbie's getting ready for bed, and I go, "Have you thought about embryonic adoption?" Like, I don't even know where it came from. I mean, I know where it came from. It came from God. I mean, because it's not like I had spent time like, I wonder if this is not, like, it just came out of my mouth. And Robbie looked and he goes, "Isn't that like IVF?" He's like, I mean, if we were going to do that, why wouldn't we do IVF? I was like, well, 3 or 4 years ago when I mentioned IVF, you said no. I said, plus God has called us to adoption. And it was like, we sat down that night and we started looking at national embryonic banks. And we were able to see, like, all these babies and toddlers and children. And underneath it would say frozen 2 years, frozen 15 years, frozen 8 years. And we sat there and we both started weeping. And I was like,
Oh, my word.
My gosh, there's this whole other way that people can take part in adopting, and it finally made sense to me. I was like, this is it, babe. I was like, this is why at my age I've had this deep desire to carry another child, and I knew we were called to adoption.
Yeah.
We were called to carry our adopted baby.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
That's crazy.
word. And they have like dating, it's almost like dating sites where they're like, you know, this is what I hope to find in someone that wants to adopt my embryo. There are people that will advocate for their embryos.
Wow.
And they want open adoptions. Like, just like a traditional adoption.
Wow.
Like, I want pictures. I want to come to birthdays. I want this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's wild.
I never knew about this.
There's Christian agencies that will even pair you with it.
So did you get to pick your embryo?
Yes. And we did not, when we prayed into like, should we do one of these? Because I'm kind of this hopeless. I'm just like, we could have more of a family. Like, look at the extent, you know. But I went to the Lord, and the Lord was like, you are to go to an abandoned embryo, one that has no one advocating for them. And so, yeah, we were able to go. Our son had been frozen for 5 years. So he's only like a couple years, truly, only a couple years younger than Malachi.
Yeah, that's cool.
He had been frozen since 2019.
Interesting.
And so basically, you know, I'd love to say like, and tell people like embryonic adoption is that you know, and I will tell you too, the year before we went into embryonic adoption was a year of a lot of grief and a lot of healing, because I had to heal from the fact that like this child, Ezra, that I knew was our son, is not going to be in our home. But he is our son, and we are still to intercede for him. And it was kind of like after him, I wanted to be like, what's the next thing? Like, what's the next assignment, Lord? Because I needed something to keep me busy.
Sure.
And the Lord was like, I just want you to be and love me. And I'm like, this has all been because of love. Like, this was all because of love. And so once we kind of, he worked me through that journey, it was more of like, okay, now that's when the revelation of embryonic adoption came, was after I had walked through a lot of that grief. It wasn't a substitution. It wasn't to help put a Band-Aid on something that was already painful. It was the Lord walked me through that and grew me in that area, and then said, okay, now this is where I'm taking you.
There's there's purpose.
Yeah. And people are like, so how does this work? And I'm like, well, I would love to tell you that you just go and be like, hey, here's my uterus. Come on, give me the baby. But no, you have to do tons of blood work.
Yeah.
I joke and say, here I am, a middle-aged hormonal woman getting injected with hormones. Like,
Yeah.
my husband loves me so much. He's stuck with me through it all. Because I'm like, are you ready? Because this is going to be wild.
But they do. They inject hormones to
gosh.
prepare your body
To
for the
receive baby.
embryo. Yeah.
They do all kinds of testing. I mean, they have to make sure you're a good candidate, you're able to carry.
What they should do is put the husband in therapy while the woman's receiving hormones.
That will be the next
Minimum, like
episode. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Minimum like a
Seriously.
men's Bible study or something. Make sure they're-
Support group.
Yeah,
Oh my
right.
gosh.
I mean, that's crazy to walk through.
It's a journey of shots, and I mean, and there were moments. I mean, I don't like needles, period. But there'd be moments where I would cry because of the magnitude of what we were preparing for, and then just knowing this isn't a given. I mean, you can pick out your embryo, but it's not a given that the embryo will survive the thawing process or.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Sure.
ask. What are the statistics? I mean, you probably knew going in. I don't know if they've faded from your mind, but because it can't be, but so high of a success rate, I would think.
Yeah.
Like you said, thawing, being frozen that long, making sure you're
There's
compatible.
so many factors on what the success rate would be, but they don't, like, when you're going through it, they make no promises like, this
I'm
is it.
sure.
I
Yeah.
remember when we went to go get the transfer, the doctor that did the transfer, I don't know what this meant, but I felt so happy. She was like, what a beautiful embryo. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, what does that mean, Robbie? She said our embryo was beautiful. You know, like, does that
Well,
mean?
she was right, 'cause he is.
He is beautiful. I mean, I don't know, was she prophetic? Like,
I don't know.
I can already tell.
Clearly,
but
she
yeah.
looks at a lot of embryos.
Yeah.
Oh my
Apparently,
gosh.
there was something about that one.
Yes.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you got pregnant at 45. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest.
This has only been honest.
No,
but
Well,
keep-
I know,
but-
Ken's sake, let's keep being
I know I
honest.
shouldn't even say that, but for real, was it hard?
Being pregnant?
Yeah, at 45.
You know, the hardest part, I think, of being pregnant at 45 is walking through all the people.
Ugh,
You know?
Gross.
Like, I mean, obviously.
people's opinions and the looks and all the things.
Yeah. I mean,
Ew.
I had people that were almost 20 years younger than me pregnant at the same time that you wouldn't be able to tell. You would think, because, you know, people have hard pregnancies, and you would think, man, should be switched. The one that's older should be having, the issues and the hormones and all but it was, besides having to like monitor like gestational diabetes and a couple of things like that, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful pregnancy. Birth, Robbie will tell you, he thinks it was the most beautiful of all three, but it was all natural by accident. Because
I think that was my next question. A lot of people probably wondering, was it C-section or?
Yeah. And it was unmedicated. And that was an accident because Robbie was like, do you...
Hold on.
I remember this piece of the story.
I somehow forgot this piece of the story.
So we had...
When you say natural, you mean all natural vajayjay, but also all natural, no meds.
Nothing.
Oh my
word. What was I thinking? It was God.
Go girl. This is so empowering for women.
It was an accident though.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
The Lord knew you could handle it. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I have a whole new respect for you.
Yeah.
I haven't anyway, but it's incredible.
Yeah. And when we talked about our birth plan, Robbie was like, can we just try like no med? And I wanted to be like, how about you? How about you try to do this? But I'd be like, my response to him was like, yeah, we'll just see how the Lord leads. I have nothing to prove. So if I decide to get an epidural, I decide to get an epidural. Are we in agreement? Because I have nothing to prove. He's like, I know, just try. And so to be honest, let's be honest. My plan all along is I'm getting an epidural.
Right.
I want my husband to feel good about the fact I'm going to try to go natural, but why would I do that? Why would I do that? That doesn't even make sense. And the thing is, I get into the hospital, they're putting an IV in for the epidural if I need it. And every 2 minutes I'm having a contraction. How do you forget that you're in labor? Every 2 minutes I'm having these. And all of a sudden, as it progresses to the point where it's almost to the point like you might be pushing soon, I was like, I never got an epidural. But the reason I didn't, because people are like, that you're that dumb. Like you kept forgetting. Like it was like you had amnesia every 2 minutes. Like, what are we doing? Oh, we're having a baby. What are we doing? But there was a partial placenta abruption that happened, and we were one push away from having to be rushed in to emergency surgery. Had I had an epidural, they may have not caught it in time because I would have been numb from the waist down.
Wow.
And so not only could have that potentially saved Roman, it could have also saved me.
Wow.
And so when people are like, how? And I like, it was God. It was God. And so Robbie's like, that was so beautiful. And I'm like, well, if we ever do this again, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, like, let's just do the epidural. I don't care. Like, that will be beautiful too.
So I know we got to get you out of here, but what is the hardest part about being a mom in this stage of life? You have a 19-year-old, an 8-year-old, you have a spiritual baby out there. Mm-hmm. Now you have Roman, who is 21 months. Mm-hmm. You're 47 years old. What's the hardest part about having a baby? We just went to the baseball game with you the other day. You didn't sit down.
No. I'm like, I always tell Robbie, this is what we signed up for. Or when we're up, because our, almost 2-year-old still doesn't sleep through the night. I'm like, we were made for this. Like, we were made for it. In Jesus' name. I think the hardest part, it would be natural for me to say the hardest part is age. Mm-hmm. But this is what I know. I don't know how old or young I am. You don't know how old or young you are. You can give me your number, but I could be super duper young because I might be living, which, that would be crazy. I could be living till I'm 90 or 100.
That's a good word.
And so when someone says, well, do you know how old you're going to be when they're this
good.
age? I don't know how old I'll be when I take my last breath, but what I plan to do is until my last breath, I will in all things worship and honor the Lord and whatever it is that he's called me to. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, Amen. It's time for my retirement or I'm too old for that. No, God created me. God has a plan and a purpose that he put out before the foundations of the earth were even created. That is what I'm going to walk in. And so, hard is just, it's truly a mindset on, is it hard? When you see other friends like that have grandchildren and are able to kind of be like, I'm going to take the baby and give the baby back and I don't have to worry. That's their life and every journey is unique and different.
Wow,
and so,
I never thought about it that way. That's interesting.
I'm really young, I think.
Yeah, because if you legit if you die at 77, you still got 30 years left. That's a long, depending on perspective here, but yeah, I never thought about it that way. It's very interesting. And not to leave y'all. We're going to have Kim back on the show for sure, because this is a walk that you're still walking out. I mean, he's only 21 months, but
Still writing
can
that
we
testimony.
just give the listeners real quick what God has said to you moving forward?
What part?
That you ain't done.
I don't know why every time I hear it, because I know it, I've said it, it's still kind of like, holy smokes. Yeah, we're not done. Because he's not done. I will just say this. I knew before Malachi was born, I had a dream and I met my daughter. And I know it was our daughter. Robbie, when Malachi was 4 months old, saw our daughter. And I know some of you are like, this is weird. Dreams and visions. Read the Bible. It's in here and it happens today. Robbie saw our daughter, same description, in a vision. And my mother-in-law, when I was pregnant with Roman, thinking this is definitely our girl because the Lord has shown Robbie in a vision, me in a dream. He had also shown my mother-in-law, who knew nothing about my dream or his vision, our daughter in a dream, same description. And so, and he had given us her name. So I'm like, this is definitely, this, now we know as a little boy, this baby is definitely our daughter. And what I knew is if this is a boy, God has made clear we are not done because we still have a daughter out there. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We're not done.
What's her name? Can we ask?
I tell you, well, hold on. If that's not a tease for coming back to this next episode, they're going to be like, we can't wait to see this.
Can we ask her name? Can you share it yet?
I'll have to ask Robbie if I can share it.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
That makes
Amen.
sense. Yes, I
The
love
Lord
that.
gave it to me, but it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Wow. So just when you thought you heard it all, it ain't done because he ain't done.